Hello, everyone, and happy Saturday. I know, depending on where you're at in the United States or the world, um, it might be nearing nighttime. It is for me, or I don't know, maybe you're just kind of coming up on your day, which is the case for some of my friends over in Africa. Actually, no, let me see. Oh, yeah, they're in the bed now. They're like almost coming up on morning. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you all. Hi. But I wanted to talk to you all about female sexuality and as it relates to the Sisterhood Code. And I'm not going to be on here long because I'm going to get on, say what I have to say, and jump off. But ladies, it is time for us to start doing things a little bit differently. Um, we can no longer make the excuse that men are so horrible and that men are causing all the problems in the world. We can no longer do that because for every instance that you can highlight maybe a man that's not done the right thing with a woman, I can highlight two brothers that have done the right thing. So the good men are out there. And let me just say this, they're looking for you. Just like you're looking for them, they're looking for you. So we got to start doing things a little bit differently so that we can attract different type of men to us. But I wanted to spend some time talking to you. Hi, thanks for tuning in. But I wanted to talk to you very briefly about female sexuality and the importance of a woman living by a code. And we can no longer make the excuse that some brother just did something to us. Well, sisters, did you allow it? Did you even take the time to get to know the brother before you allowed him into your sacred space? No. I mean, whatever the reasons are, and I'm going to speak from my own personal experience. When I was younger, because I didn't love myself, I didn't ask the right questions. Man, I put my life at risk. I put my son's life at risk, and I put those who were in close proximity to me at risk. And I would say, looking at this thing, hindsight, I put you all at risk too, because there was a potential because I didn't love myself enough back then. And understand what I'm saying. I'm really talking about on a very introspective level, that I didn't love myself enough, that I didn't ask the right questions. I didn't do enough investigation. And I would say the investigation that I could have done just started with simple questions, asking simple questions. Do you have a set of questions in mind, like when you meet a brother that you're going to ask him? And I'm not talking about some of this stuff that you ladies ask, like about how much money he makes, what type of car he drives. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the things that really matter as it relates to a man. And you're talking about wanting a husband. Like, really? I mean, you better start looking at the character of this man. Like, ask him some. I'm not going to give that away because that's a part of my training. If you want that secret stuff, ladies, I'm sorry. I'm going to need you to sign up to get that. But I will say this is the first step in you knowing what questions to ask a man to vet him is you knowing yourself. And in order for you to know yourself, you need to remove the things that are in conflict with yourself so that you can hear yourself. Because, it's interesting because I talk to a lot of people, and this is men and women who've yet to come into who they are. And these are people that are 40, sometimes 50 years old, and they're still searching for themselves. And that's okay. But what I'm telling you is you don't have to stay in that space, and there is opportunity for you to get in alignment with yourself. But see, here's the thing. Once you get in alignment with yourself and you know who you are, then you know what questions to ask so that you can start drawing yourself to yourself. See, the problem is when you don't have a standard, like let's just imagine who you are as being a circle. You don't know who to let into your circle because you haven't even defined that circle for yourself. So how can you tell somebody else or figure out what questions you need to be asking someone to determine whether or not they need to be inside of your space without you even knowing what the space is supposed to look like? So what are you going to go to the person and say to them? Like, hey, I don't know me, but look, I just need you. I mean, I don't even think any of these conversations are happening. As a matter of fact, I think We are still using these barbaric ways of attracting mates, which is like using our animal instincts. We're still going by based on low vibrational type of stuff. What somebody looks like, what type of car they drive, how much money they have, how big the booty is. I mean, my mind just went somewhere else. Really? And these are the conditions and the people with whom we are producing babies with, because let's just be real about it. So then you go have these encounters with people, and I'm hearing about these new situationships. You just lay down with somebody, you don't know them. So how can you trust somebody that you don't know? You don't know. And then you're disappointed in the end when they don't turn out to be what you expected. But what is your expectation? So I can always point the finger back at you. What is your expectation? Oh, you don't have any expectations because you still don't know yourself. See, it always goes like in this circle. I can put you back in the loop that's always going to bring it back to you, sister. In order for you to start attracting a different type of man, it's going to start with you. It's going to start with you and you getting to know yourself, you removing the things that are in conflict with who you are. And I'm talking about the TV. Turn off that freaking TV for a little bit. You need to go on a detox and stop looking at television, because this television is really, it is programming an idea of what life is supposed to be and who you're supposed to be for that. And I'm saying this because I'm seeing you, sisters. I'm watching the stuff on your pages. I see what you post about. So I know that you are mimicking what you see on TV. Okay? So that has become your standard. And so now when it comes to the type of man that you want, oh my goodness, woo, baby, let me tell you something. I saw this video with this young girl and she's sitting in the car. She's on her way to a date with the guy. She said, well, he's not her sponsor. I forgot what she called the guy, but he was just some other guy she was going to get some short-term money from, because her sponsors would give her like $2,000 a month to pay her bills. And she got several sponsors that pay her bills. It's like, really, woman? Like, what has happened to us, ladies? What has happened to us that we would sell our bodies like we're sex? Basically you're a prostitute. Let me just go ahead and say that. So you're a prostitute and you're just going to allow a man to, in some instances, you're not having protected sex. So you're out there just having unprotected sex. Let's not even talk about on a spiritual level, the energies that you are allowing into your space. And you don't think, okay, so the problem is that somewhere back, if you trace this thing way back to your childhood, something happened. Either somebody said something to you that devalued you, either you saw something, maybe you saw your father cheating on your mother, maybe you were raped or molested, and so now these things have framed your ideas about yourself. And then let me just say this, maybe you were that girl that was picked on, and so you learned how to use your body, picked on and not selected by the young guys in school. So then you learn how to use your body to get a man, and that has just been, you've been stuck on that. That's just where you've been stuck. You've learned how to be really good in bed, but then guess what? After the sex is over, the man is gone, and you still left there. You're still standing there with your loneliness and all of this stuff. Now you got all of this other baggage, because let me just say this. I would venture to say that if you are attracting that type of man, and that's the type of man that you are allowing into your sacred space, I'm almost certain that brother doesn't care too much, too hot sense about you. I'm pretty sure of that. He's not the brother that is wooing you, that is opening your doors. I'm sure there's been a lot of drama that has come along with these relationships, and these brothers have their own issues, and now you've allowed them to come into your space. And what I'm saying is, now you're compounding over and over again every time you allow a different man into your space. And let me just say this, if you got sponsors, I'm pretty sure, so this one particular girl said she had 6 sponsors. So you have 6 sponsors. I would imagine you haven't had the same 6 sponsors for 10 years. So you probably, because of the nature of the type of men that you're drawing, you have a continuous revolving door, if that makes sense. So I would say easily, you probably in a very short period of time slept with over 100 men. 100 men. And let's just say you did decide you want to have protected sex. At some point, condoms break. So you exposing yourself to diseases, sis? I mean, really? Is it really that? Let me say this. Okay. Maybe you don't love yourself. You know, there was I remember when I was coming into consciousness, and there was a book that I read by Miles Monroe. I still have it. And then, you know, that brother's passed away now. And I've gone on to study more advanced teachings. But he said something that has stuck with me. And that is, when a person lacks purpose, they are prone to self-abuse. Sisters, when I didn't know myself and I didn't know my life's purpose, I had unprotected sex. I did not ask men to get HIV tests before I had sex with them. As a matter of fact, I mean, at least the good thing for me was that I was never the type of woman that would just sleep with anybody. So I wasn't like having like sex with just random men. I would have sex with men that I knew. Like at that point, when we got to that point, probably much like many of you, this was somebody I knew, like we were taking that next step if we weren't already in a relationship. But even then, I didn't ask those questions. And I promise you, like literally, I remember I was in a relationship 10 years ago, and there was a dream that completely changed my life. And I don't want to go into all of the details of this dream, but there was a man that came to me and he said something to me. He said, "You're good enough." That was all he said to me. And man, I'm getting chills even thinking about it. But he said, "You're good enough." That dream literally changed my life. I remember I was in a relationship at that time with a fine brother, by the way, y'all. He was fine to death. We didn't have any arguments. We didn't have any type of disagreements. I just knew he wasn't my husband. I knew that. And we had been together at that point for 4 years. And I stopped having sex with him immediately. So going back to what I just said about when a person is prone to when they lack purpose, they're prone to self-abuse. What that man said to me in that dream led to my awakening, because I asked myself, who was the man in that dream? And what I saw in this man's eyes was so intimidating to me. And I'm going to tell you what it was that I saw in his eyes. It was the answer to everything. It was everything I had been looking for my whole entire life. That's what I saw in that man's eyes. And I said to myself, man, how does a woman get that type of man? And what I realized is she was also the answer to. There's so much to it. Ah, oh, I